Good evening, y'all. Before I get into today's topic, I ended up getting ill, so I fell sick yesterday. And, back then I used to think, oh, my immune system's terrible, must be genetic, and I'd whine, I'd complain. Now that I've become a more mature person, or at least I hope I have, I've become more accountable for my own actions. And what I've realized is that when it comes to immune system, a lot of it is due to the fact that you're not sleeping enough, you're not sleeping well, or you're not eating well. More often than not, it's related to sleep and diet, as well as stress. So chronic stress can also really affect your immune system. When you're not dialing down on these three things, yeah, your immune system's going to crap. And when that happens, you're more likely to get sick. I have a client who gets sick almost every month, and I'm not surprised because she doesn't sleep enough. And that's the same issue with me. On top of that, when you have chronic stress, she works a very high pressure job, has a daughter, etc. Yeah, you're just more likely to get sick. I used to train really hard when I was fighting, and I was getting sick almost every 2 months. And I thought, oh, something must be wrong with me. But what I realized is, I just wasn't being accountable for my own sleep, my diet. And now that I've dialed it down, I haven't been ill for 7 months. Bar the occasional stomach flare-ups, which is a bit problematic. And usually when I go on holiday, that's when it starts to trigger. But I'm very happy that I took accountability, because I realized, you can do a lot and really influence a lot of things. And that's something I want to talk about today. So before I get quick into that, yeah, I didn't sleep for the last couple of days. I didn't sleep very well, and bang, fell sick. No excuses. It's just being, there are reasons behind why I'm struggling to sleep lately, but I should really dial down and be more accountable and take accountability for it. But anyway, that was a very long intro. That was already 2 minutes long, so yeah. I'll put in the marker to skip to this point if you're interested in this topic today. So the topic for today is genetics, and whether or not, in my opinion, it's a valid or invalid reason to excuse yourself from maximizing your health and fitness. Short answer, in my opinion, is no. Usually my answers are, it depends, but for this specific context, the answer is no. And let's hear me out. Yes, genetics do play a massive role when it comes to your health and fitness. Some people really are just born lucky with a very robust and strong immune system. They grew up in an environment where they were exposed to a lot of, well, actually, that's not even genetics anymore. So let's not even get into hygiene hypothesis. So for those of y'all who are medics, y'all will know what a hygiene hypothesis is. I'm not going to get into that. So if you're born with a robust immune system, you're going to be able to get away with more. I was not someone like that. So yeah, from a health standpoint, I struggle with really severe allergies, and that results in me being more likely to get sick. However, is that an excuse to constantly be sick? No. And the amount of people that have told me, dude, for someone who's tall and big, why are you always sick? And I was like, I don't know. But now I do know. So you got to find out. And as someone who's naturally quite curious, it took me a while, it took me many years, but I've eventually found out why. It's because I wasn't taking care of my environment. I wasn't cleaning my flat properly. I needed to make sure that I didn't have any carpet, nothing that trapped dust. I double layer my bed sheets. So I have double layers for bed sheets, blankets, pillows, really removing the allergen, which is dust. And that's called taking accountability, right? So why is this important? Okay, yeah, genetics can affect how much adipose tissue you hold. If you look at certain races, so I believe the Polynesian, is that even a race or ethnicity? Jesus, I'm not a sociology, geography, whatever major you call it that deals with this stuff, but whatever ethnicity or race it is, the Polynesians, yeah, they are more predisposed to carrying more fat. Whereas you look at Africans, they're either much more muscular or very lean and skinny. So you'll see a lot of, I think it's the East Africans who have really good genetics for running, long distance running, and then the West Africans who are more muscular. Don't quote me on that. This is not a geography channel, sociology channel, but all you need to know is genetics do play a role in how you look. However, the environment can really affect how you look. I grew up quite skinny, but also fat. So I had the skinny fat build, the classic, almost most Southeast Asians and East Asians will have that skinny fat build. You know, the long, jangly arms, limbs, but also kind of fluffy tummy. Yeah. Is that a reason to not look good though, or maximize your health and fitness? Absolutely not. I didn't look good at all, and if most people looked at me, even though I played a lot of sport growing up, you would look at me and think, yeah, he just looks like an average skinny fat bloke, right? Doesn't really work out. And I spent years training. I started in 2012, it's now 2026, and I'm not massive by any means whatsoever, but if someone looked at me, they'd be like, yeah, he looks like he works out, looks like he's athletic. Obviously, depending on what your goals are, you can maximize the look you want. So if you want to be more bodybuilding, yeah, you're gonna have to train more hypertrophy. If you're wanting to look more athletic, be more athletic, move like a basketball player, a fighter, whatnot, then you're gonna maybe do more plyometric work, do more cardio-based stuff, etc., etc. Genetics are not an excuse, unless you're an elite athlete. If you want to be an elite athlete and your goal is to be like that, unfortunately, genetics do play a massive role. But if you just want to look fit and be healthy, genetics is not an excuse. It's not, it really isn't. You have to take accountability for your actions and what you're not doing, that's not getting you there. So what I've noticed in people who end up getting in shape, there's a couple of things that determine whether or not they're able to get there. And the most important thing is discipline, 100%. I've not met someone who's got a good physique who doesn't have good discipline. It's nearly impossible. Sure, you get the odd outlier. I've definitely met some people in the university. I'm like, Jesus, you just barely have to touch some weights, train decently hard. You can eat like crap, sleep like crap, and still have a really good physique. Yeah, you will get people like that, but that's a dime a dozen. Most people that I know who have a good physique, they train really hard over many years, doing it with a lot of discipline, eating well, sleeping well, not going out, drinking all the time, training hard, laser focused, etc. Do you think everyone has good genetics? Like, honestly, I've had some people, especially like Chinese relatives, they love to say like, oh, but you know, you got good genetics, you're young, you've got a good metabolism, so obviously you can do it. It's like, dude, have some accountability, bro. Like, the only reason why you can't do it is because you're a lazy person. It's not just lazy. I mean, there's obviously a lot of factors involved, but generally speaking, to get into shape, yes, it does require a lot of discipline and a lot of consistency. And I would say you can even train like crap and still probably get there. Now, obviously there's many other factors. Like if you're really experiencing a lot of chronic stress, that can really affect how well you can diet, how well you sleep, and that does make a massive difference. But that's the other thing, is people who are experiencing that but still have a good physique, they're able to somehow prioritize being in shape. And that's the other thing, is you've got to prioritize it. Like, you can't just keep saying, yeah, I want to do it, but it's not there. You've got to prioritize being in shape, and you got to care about that more than anything else. Unless, again, if you have good genetics, then maybe not, but it's true. I mean, a really good example is my brother. Sorry, bro, but very disciplined, very consistent. So the moment he wanted to get into shape, because he used to be a runner and he wanted to build some muscle, yeah, he put on quite a bit of size. He ended up going from 60 kilos to 80 something, so a bit heavier than me. And that was over a span of 2 years. Then the moment school started getting busy, he ended up deprioritizing or unprioritizing being in shape. And what ended up happening, he lost, I think, 15 kilos. So there you go. Is it genetics? I don't think so. Is it work ethic? Maybe. But he has a lot of work ethic. So what was it? He just didn't prioritize it. And that's the other thing. You've got to prioritize being in shape. And yeah, one could argue that is a selfish act. By being in shape, you might be being selfish, and you have to prioritize things that will allow you to get into shape. For example, if you go out with family, you might have to go, hey, sorry, I can't eat this stuff. This is not good for me. And if they're good family members, they respect you, they'll be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Maybe 1 or 2 won't hurt, but we won't force you. And there are people that will stand in your way because they don't want to see you get in shape. I've seen that many times, especially in university. Everyone's like, just have a beer, have 2 beers. You're not going to get jacked anyway. It happens. What do you do with these people? Get them out of your life. Find people with the like-minded values. People who also want to get into shape, they'll be very supportive of your goals. And there's plenty of people in the gym who will do that. If you're someone out of shape, talk to someone who's in shape in the gym. I guarantee 9 times out of 10, they're going to be very happy to help you, give you tips, motivate you. People in shape love to give advice, okay? I'm not saying the advice is good or bad, but they're happy to. Another thing I want to talk about though quickly, and why I don't think it is an excuse, but no, sorry, I should reframe that. It's not an excuse, but there are reasons behind why it is easier for some people. And back then, some people would say, your basal metabolic rate is different compared to other people and blah, blah, and that's why you can get into shape, etc. You have a faster metabolism, whatever. And as gym bros, we were told, no, that's not true. The only people who have a faster metabolism is people who has more muscle. But there was a researcher, very strong guy. I think he owns Stronger by Science. He wrote a really long article on why actually metabolism, it does differ across people, even if you have the same stats. So same height, same age, same sex, same amount of muscle and fat, your metabolism can differ by up to almost 800 calories, like the discrepancy. Obviously, the average discrepancy is not that bad, but from the lowest to the highest, it can be up to 800. And the main factor is due to organ size. So supposedly, the size of your organs can really predict how much metabolism, how high or low your metabolism is. Now that's largely influenced by genetics. So unfortunately, if you're born with smaller organs, you will end up burning less calories. However, that's not, the point of the article is not to therefore go, well, screw it then. I guess if I ended up with smaller organs and a slower metabolism, then I'm bound to not be able to lose weight. That's also not true. It just means that you have to be a bit more meticulous with your calorie counting and you will have to eat less. And here's the thing, for people who have a very high metabolism, they will be hard gainers. They will struggle to put food in their mouth. I've met people like that too, very skinny, and no matter how much food they eat, they still struggle to build muscle. It's not easy for them either, okay? So honestly, no excuses, and that's tough love. One last analogy I want to make about why I don't think genetics is an excuse as well is this. I'm sure y'all have played poker before, and poker is a game, for a lot of people who don't know about it, luck. And very much like fitness, if you don't know much about it, you don't have much knowledge of it, you might think it's also luck. You're born with good genetics, and yeah, well, I'm not, so screw it. But if you've ever played the game of poker before, Texas, that is, you get dealt 2 cards, right? And then there's 5 cards at the end. Well, you get 3 first, which is the flop, and then you got the turn, 1 card gets dealt, and then the river, the last card, and then you have to use your 2 cards to get the best hand possible out of the 5, right? That's on the table. But if you know poker well, it's a game of a lot of strategy. There's so much involved. And if you put a poker pro into a game against a beginner, guaranteed the poker pro will win 9 times out of 10. And why? I mean 9 times out of 10 head to head, not just one hand I'm talking about. And that's because they understand the game, they have the knowledge. And that's the thing. If you have the knowledge to build muscle, to know how to build muscle, to be fit, to be healthy, if you had the worst genetics in the world, but you had all the knowledge, I guarantee you would still be able to look very in shape and much better than the average bloke. If you get dealt crappy cards, you can make a really good hand by the end of the poker game, right? That hand itself. Whereas if you're someone who gets dealt the best hand possible at the beginning, but you have no idea how to bet, you have no idea how to play, you could end up losing to the worst hand. And that's my analogy, is you could be someone with terrible genetics and still build quite a decent amount of size and look better than the average person easily compared to someone who has great genetics but throws it all away. I've seen that too. Some people have really good genetics and they just throw it all away. Yeah. And one last thing about genetics too. What makes you think you're so special that you have the worst genetics or you have terrible genetics? When you think about it, most people are average. That's just what it is. On, let's say, out of 1,000 sample size, what makes you think you're the special one? That's the 1% who's got the elite genetics for being super athletic or super unathletic. It's rare, right? If I told you you had LeBron James's genetics, you'd be like, well, no, I don't. Yeah, well, you probably don't have the LeBron James of the terribly unathletic version either, right? Yeah, go figure. You're probably average, and average is good. That means whatever research that you look at, chances are it'll probably apply to you. And before I head off, here's the last thing. I'm someone with ADHD. I grew up struggling, studying, concentrating, focusing, had teachers tell me, you know, this kid's mischievous, is unable to study and whatnot. And it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. I believed that. I truly believed I'm not capable of studying, I'm stupid, and I can't be academic. What would any decent parent tell you? They'd be like, okay, but you should probably still study, right? Because if you just quit now, you're not gonna go to university, you're not gonna amount to anything. So what did I end up doing? No matter how hard it was, I still forced myself to study. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I was terrible at it, but I still managed to do okay, like average in high school, slightly below average. And then I ended up doing all right in university and then ended up doing postgrad and got a B plus, I think it was average, 3.3 something in Hong Kong, which is half decent. It's better than most people. Was I built for it genetically? Hell no. But what do? You just grind through it. You stay disciplined. And I'll probably never ever end up being that A plus student. Or maybe I can. I just need to work harder, right? Learn how to study better. You know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It'll probably take me a lot more work than certain people, but it's doable. And that's exactly the same thing I want to tell y'all today. And this is not meant to be demotivating. This is meant to motivate and help you get through it. Tell y'all, you know what? You're really not that special, and that's good. That means you can do it, right? I hope this video helps. It's a bit long. It ended up becoming a bit more of a motivational video in a weird way, telling you, hey, genetics really don't matter that much. Just put some effort into it. I'm there to help y'all. Comment, and I'm happy to give advice and share my experience as well, because I want to tell y'all I have definitely very average genetics, and I look probably in better shape than 99% of people, okay? It's not a brag. It really isn't. It's to tell y'all, if I can do it, y'all can do it too. Put your mind to it, get down and dirty, get focused, just get it done. No more excuses. Don't tell yourself, I can't do it because of this, I can't do it because of that. You haven't even tried yet. Just try. Honestly, if you can tell yourself, you know what, I've tried 110% and I still can't do it, maybe I don't believe it. Because, yeah, anyone would have told me the same thing too, and I would have believed it too. Looking back in high school, if I said I tried 110% to get good grades, that's BS. That's complete BS. I could have done so much more, and so can you. Anyway, this video ended up being way too long, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope you got a bit motivated, even though motivation is not that important. Discipline is, but it's a start. Catch y'all in the next video. Peace.